Alright guys, welcome back, and it's another episode of Get Good Sam. So, today, Aiden has me trying one of his only favorite supports, which she can loosely be called that, in Tyrande. So we're gonna actually start this new thing where I try these characters out in try mode first, we get some basics down, and then we'll get into a game. So, Aiden, why don't you start us off and tell us a little bit about Tyrande and what you use her for and things like that?
All right. Well, first and foremost, she is an assassin. She's listed as a support, but that is a delusion on Blizzard's part. She's an assassin who has a Q that she can sustain herself with, and that's really the mindset you need to get into when playing her. She can support a little bit as, a secondary spot healing sort of support if you have like a main healer on your team, but the days of Tyrande being remotely viable for being a solo support are absolutely over. But she's a really fun assassin, so I'm okay with it.
And is that the reason you play her so much? Is because she's like a non-support support? Like,
that is absolutely the reason I play her. Because as you and anyone who has been following us knows, I don't really play support. It's not really my thing generally. So, if we need a backup support and I can just pretend to play an assassin, then that's what I'll do.
okay, so what about her? How do you build Tyrande? And does comp factor in a lot, or do you have a go-to build that you usually go to?
I have a fairly almost standardized build that I usually use, just because there's a lot of talents that are still, somewhat devoted to trying to turn her into an actual support for whatever reason, and that's just never going to happen. But the main differences come in level 1, where depends on do I want to smash people with the owl, or do I want to just drop lunar flares on people all day? So things like maps like Blackheart's Bay, when there's a big objective that is in a fixed location where people are going to be standing and you can reliably hit people with an owl from across the map all day. Owl is really, really useful. You can get, huge damage on people, and you get like resets of the owl's cooldown. Whereas when you don't have a guarantee that you're going to have, a stationary person that you can just hit with a bird from across the map, I pretty much always just build Lunar Flare because it gets pretty hilarious at high levels.
Alright, so that D was quite useful. Why don't you tell us a bit more about the D aspect?
Yeah, so she is basically the only pretty much the only character who has a vulnerable on a stick. Certain heroes have, for example, Varian has a vulnerable on one of his ults, but from level 1, Tyrande can just point and click at someone and say, hey, you take more damage, which is incredibly useful on especially maps like the Battlefield of Eternity, because it, for some reason, still affects the Immortal. So you can really give your team a huge leg up in that little competition when you buff your whole team's damage against a single target. You can even make things like, if you have to focus down a tank for some reason, it is absolutely integral to Tyrande's kit.
Okay, so just as full disclosure, I do have this character to 6, but as Aiden has mentioned to me, they have completely reworked her, and so we thought it might be beneficial to relearn her and have her as part of my both support and assassin roster. So we're actually going to take her into an actual game now, and we'll have Aiden explain a few builds for me.
Sounds like a plan. Like we said, it is important to realize that she's now an assassin. She used to have an ult that could sort of do some spot healing for people and was kind of cool that way, but now they've turned that ult into just assassinate people really hard. .ult. So that's where she is.
I think the hardest part of this video is going to get me to choose a skin. Because one thing about this hero that made me wish I play her more is the really great skins that she has.
Yeah, she does have some pretty dope skins. I'm sad that you don't have the bright, stupid-looking pink one, because that one's my favorite. But
that one?
Pretty much. No, I think it's down at the bottom of the list. Yeah, that one.
Oh, that's just garish.
That is a ridiculous skin, and it's wonderful. Oh, hey, you even remembered to change your mount.
Yeah, you can't have a Cupid Tyrande without a fiery unicorn.
I mean, yeah, I guess they go hand in hand. The only one that would be better would be the Wonder Billy.
I'm not sure I have him. Okay, so what first talent should I pick here?
I mean, obviously, the owl is pretty much like a snap pick, usually. But it comes down to, there's a little bit of personal preference here. Like, do you think you're going to be using the owl more, or do you want to jam lunar blazes onto people's heads?
Let's jam lunar blazes onto people's heads.
I mean, that's usually the right choice because that talent is amazing.
Because we both know I'm not really much for standing back and doing things. I like to just do things to people. Like, smash damage on their heads.
Sam play a support role while being a support? That's unheard of.
Yeah, who wants to do that? That's boring.
Also, it is important to point out that her level 1 Lunar Flare talent has no upper limit on the damage it can add, so it gets bananas if you start landing E's over the course of a game. Wow, actually healing someone else, that's... Did you forget you're playing Tyrande? Don't do that.
There you go.
See, it used to be a lot easier when you were Tyrande, you know, you healed someone else and it healed herself. And I don't know, I guess they just never wanted her to be a real support ever again.
They heard you and they don't like it.
I mean, even when she was an actual support, I played her because she was still pretty assassin-y. She just also happened to have, like, semi-decent healing. But, yeah, I guess Blizzard heard my cries for turning her into a true assassin. Thanks, Blizz.
Ooh, okay, that's a butch.
That seems generous. I'm gonna be totally honest, I didn't somehow realize they had a butcher.
Neither did I, actually.
Alright, so we've got our next talent. Let's pull that up, and we will look at her. We'll go over her next talent choice, which is the one tier that's, you know, pretty much dedicated to the how supporty do you want to be. Pretty much, unless you're playing against a team like loaded down with people like Li Ming and Kael'thas and everything, or heavy as hell on hard CC, like stuns, and loaded down with silences, you pretty much just go for her Moonlit Arrows to increase the amount of cooldown reduction you get off of basic attacks. It means she stays alive more. That's really all it comes down to. There's not much more to it, unfortunately. I mean, if Celestial Attunement also got rid of, like, Roots or something, for example, it would be a really good choice here because, you know, Arthas messes fools up, but gotta go with what we have, unfortunately. I don't know how you survived that, but you did, and I'm so proud of you.
Aww.
Oh, and then now you're gonna die again, so...
Aw, that was short-lived.
I'm no longer proud of you.
Okay, so after all of that,
Pretty much Moonlit Arrows, I think, is...
Alright.
Why would you ever not take it in most cases, honestly? it's kind of an unfortunate part of her builds right now, where the other ones they have very very narrow use. Um, Unless, of course, you go up against heavy mage team, at which point grab that mage armor all day, but it doesn't happen very often. Normally you go up against decently balanced comps.
Alright, so we already have our next ability. Where are we going with this?
Okay, well, especially considering how we all know you like to play, Darnashan Archery is pretty much the choice here, because you get bonuses for shooting people repeatedly. So yeah, as long as you shoot the same target, you continually get a stacking buff up to... I don't remember what the stacking bonus is, and I don't think they actually list it, or the upper limit for the bonuses, but yeah, you get 5% per basic attack for 4 seconds, and obviously every time you attack it adds to it, so it's kind of great, as long as you can just keep shooting one guy in the face. Like this guy who wants to eat you. This is another hero where judicious use of your alt key is really great.
Ow. Admittedly, I wasn't watching there. I was listening to you.
Oh yeah, it's my fault.
It is. It totally is. That's why we do this.
Yeah, like Asmodan, good use of the alt key is really good because, as I've discussed most of the time, unfortunately her pitiful heal is just going to be for self-sustain.
Right. Which all of my years of being a support, I almost never heal myself, so I'd have to rethink the way I do that.
Yeah, the learning to alt Q and getting down the timing on her lunar flare is basically the two most important chunks of work you can do with my lady Tyrande here. Also, of course, learning whereabouts people might travel at any point that you need to scout out with owls is obviously a little bit more of an advanced thing to learn, but basically, if you can nail the timing of her lunar flare, you can really, really influence certain fights. If you can land a decent stun, as we all know, hard CC wins fights, which of course win games.
Now the all-important ult choice. Now let's get through this fight so I don't die.
Oh.
Triple kill. Quad kill.
There we go.
Rexar stole that from me.
Alright, now we can talk alts.
Well, since we are already building towards just shooting people in the face all the time forever, Shadowstalk is an excellent choice here. It's also an ult with a 20-second cooldown, so it's pretty excellent. This is the ult that used to be... it actually used to be really interesting. It used to be a team-wide invisibility and heal over time, regardless of position on the map. And it had a lot of really cool tactical use that way. And then they were like, yeah, but what if instead she just went invisible and then started shooting people real fast? And that's what it is now. All you do is you activate it, turn invisible, then when you come out of it, you shoot fast.
Okay. So pew pew.
Yep. Which of course synergizes really well with her Darnashan Archery talent, so you really get that stacking bonus really fast. And yeah, here we can see Sam's good use of the owl, scouting out an area that they're probably going to be coming from at some point, since we don't have the vision there. Now let's see how many murders Sam can get. Uh-oh. 1 murder so far.
Double kill.
That murder was stolen, but it will still count as one of our murders.
Triple kill.
That was kind of variance, but you know. Oh.
Uh-huh.
That when the owl just skims someone's hair, it's the most painful moment. This is one of those ones where, like, if you got owl talent at level 1, you pretty much snap up in power immediately because you just smash people really, really hard and then suddenly smash them really, really hard again because you get massive cooldown reduction. But personally, I like to go with Harsh Moonlight. It lets you chase people down really easily, and also the damage reduction is actually pretty huge in a lot of fights.
Is there any instance where you would consider Quickening Blessing?
Almost never, if I'm perfectly honest.
Choose a talent.
It's
Okay.
just it doesn't have the
Squabbling.
really impactful nature of
Earn my favor.
getting big resets on her owl, or you know, we all know the value of straight up reducing someone's damage and also reducing their ability to get away.
Are Lily's being silly?
Well, I feel like this is a lost objective.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go over here now.
Maiev wants to say hey. Okay, apparently she doesn't want to say hey.
Probably a smart thing on her part. Now, how about Tyrande getting camps by herself?
She's pretty bad at it.
Okay, we won't try that then.
If there is a camp she's good at, it would be the siege camp, because those are dodgeable now, and it's only 2 targets, so she can she can vulnerable one and just kind of focus it down. Because Shadowstalk is only a 20-second cooldown, you can actually just use your ult for farming this camp, and it doesn't really matter. But things like Bruiser camp will absolutely just annihilate her. Oh. Well, that stasis just messed up your plans to heal.
Owie.
Okay, I have to give it to the enemy team there. That was a beautiful combination of roots. And, you know, as we learned with in our Zarya video that we did before, this is, again, another ult that's useful for multiple applications. You know, obviously you can chase people down, but it is huge for escaping, because you get that speed buff, and suddenly becoming untargetable is obviously humongous.
Now, I just realized I wanted to shoot my owl to see where they were, but I also didn't want to give away my own position. Was I right in thinking that?
I mean, it's not a terrible thought. I mean, they will probably be able to figure out, you know, based on the trajectory, oh hey, they're clearly at boss. You know, so you're not wrong. It's a really, really canny enemy team will certainly be able to figure out a rough position.
Okay, so Butcher can clearly... Haha.
Yeah, Butcher will kill you because he's Butcher, and that's what he does.
Double kill.
Now this is one of the tiers that, I don't know, it's kind of, it's sometimes rough because, like, one talent, Mark of Mending, requires a lot of coordination from your team. You know, you want them to attack the target that you've marked. So if you just mark someone who is already being attacked, you know, you get free healing out of it, which is good. But you know, if they don't coordinate, then you've just wasted a talent. Elun's Chosen is really, really good for spot healing, but again, really situational, where you're going to be in a situation where it's okay for Tyrande to sit and basic attack someone, and also you need a scary amount of healing on someone else. So oftentimes, I actually end up going with Overflowing Light, just so you can stay topped up, and also it improves her her off healing a little bit. You know, if she can stay topped up, then your heal actually becomes pretty decent with this talent.
Yes, of course.
Sam's lining up the snipe.
Oh my god, yes!
Kobe.
Kobe on Tyrande. She needs a basketball skin.
To be honest, it is actually a travesty that she doesn't have one.
Your enemies shall be
Okay,
weak.
level 20 is where
Fall
things
before
get
you.
absolutely hilarious. Obviously, Ice Blade Arrows is like just really good. It's a really, really good talent. But Shooting Star is like my favorite thing in the world, because the only thing better than than landing lunar flares on people is getting free lunar flares for shooting people. So every 10th attack, it just pops a lunar flare at someone nearby. It's fantastic. It obviously couples really, really well again with Shadow Stalk, because you get a trillion attacks in a short period of time after using it. There was that free lunar flare just doing work.
My curse subsides.
I'm actually, like I've been saying with a lot of characters, I'm starting to like her. And as much as this is about me getting good,
Destroyed.
it's also about me exploring characters I never really gave a decent chance when I first started playing. And I think this is a good example of one of them. Because Tyrande's been around for a while.
Oh yeah, she's an old hand.
I can't remember if she's part of the original or if she came a little bit later.
I want to say she was part of the original. If she wasn't original, she was like close enough to original that you might as well call her original. But she's, to be fair, you know, she was always kind of in a weird place where, like, if you were decent enough and talented her right, she was like pretty okay at healing, but the multiple support meta wasn't really a thing back in the day. It would be weird to take multiple healers back then, but nowadays, you know, she slots in perfectly.
She does, and I love the damage that she's able to do.
She not only has insane amounts of damage, like really surprising amounts of damage, but it's so surprising that it catches people off guard every single time. Constantly, when I play Tyrande, I have people that they try to duel Tyrande because, oh, she's a support, I can fight her. No, you can't. She will shoot you in the face all the time, and then you'll die.
But I found playing against her that she shoots me in the face to the point where but I don't realize she's shooting me in the face. Because you're right, I think, oh, Tyrande, it's fine, whatever. But she can actually just murder you. Because nobody pays attention. It's kind of like Murky. Nobody pays attention to him until he's wrecked their forts.
Yeah.
Tyrande I don't pay attention to until she's wrecking me.
Exactly. And she also, for things like this, you know, her vulnerable makes boss rushes extremely, extremely viable. Her and, you know, one person who's decent at soloing a boss can just take a boss with little to no effort.
So Mr. Rexar over there.
Yeah, or even someone like the dual wield Varian. He's really great for just stacking up with a Tyrande and taking a boss with, like I said, basically no effort on your part. Oh, that was really good timing on that lunar flare. That was beautiful.
Thank you. I think our boss is going to do enough work there, because they seem to be ignoring them.
Well, yeah, boss is smashing core and I feel like that's got to be game. They only have Malf up to defend. Yeah, that's 100% game. Tracer is now on core. Goodbye.
Well, that felt good to win a first game with a character for once.
Victory.
Yeah, and considering our comp there, I wasn't quite sure. Then I just never have faith in people who play Rexar. But you know what? This guy did a fine job.
Yeah, I actually don't remember if it's you or Kevin that plays Rexar, but...
I know I do. Like, I do on, obviously, Braxis Holdout when Rexar is fantastic. Otherwise, I feel like Kevin probably does, because if there's a weird character that involves Micro, then Kevin is all over it.
Yeah, and my fiance, our honorary scrub, Justin, does play him a lot, so maybe that's where I'm remembering him from. But I just remember him being able to solo camps being extremely useful.
You heard it here first. In Sam's mind, Kevin and her fiance are interchangeable. All right, so what are your thoughts on Tyrande versus what you remember from the Dark Ages?
Well, from the Dark Ages, I remember her, trying to play her as a main support, and I think that was my mistake, because even with her old kit, and before her rework, she just kind of never was that support main, really. And I think that was my mistake when I was playing her, is, okay, my first thing is to heal, not to attack people, and that's what I would try and do, and I would always feel like I wasn't doing enough. But having the mindset that she's an assassin who can heal actually helped me, because then I was like, okay, go do damage, but heal when you can. And I think that's a way better mindset to have with this character, and dare I say it, Aden is right.
I often am.
That's a lie.